You're listening to the show for dadpreneurs who want to have it all. Each week, you'll see how you can have harmony in the 4 pillars of purpose: family, faith, fitness, and finances. Welcome back, daddies, to another edition in the new year. I'm so glad that you guys are back and listening to me. I know it's only 1 or 2 of you. You guys keep telling me I need to do a better job of marketing this, and I will maybe do it, but it's so hard doing a show. It's so hard doing a show all by yourself and marketing it and getting people to listen and even coming up with topics. That's why every once in a while I get lucky and I get a good guest to join us. Another dadpreneur who's finding that balance. Balance. I don't like balance. Finding that harmony in family, faith, finances, and fitness. Today, folks, I've got a special treat for you. He is a friend that I met at a very high level mastermind. And I'm talking, we put big money to be in a room together. So that's how you know this guy's a baller. But he's a farmer, ex-college football player, National Guardsman, and he has rehabbed and sold hundreds. I said hundreds of homes. And he worked on a lot of them with his own hands. So we're going to dive into all of that today with Mr. Kyle Miller. What is up, brother?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So we were actually having an interesting conversation because, see, this is going to air. I know we're recording way ahead, but this thing's going to air at the beginning of 2020, and we're recording in 2019. So it's a little time travel here. But I put out a call to the DM family members who wanted to be on the show, who was a dad, who wanted to talk about harmony in family, faith, fitness, finances. And it took you months to just come out of nowhere and finally say, hey, can I take you up on that? Why was that, bro?
Well, it's just, everybody would go through it, but for me, it was, I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't feel like I had enough stuff I could share. Didn't feel like I had things that could be beneficial for other people to talk about. I don't know. I guess I didn't have the confidence in myself in this arena.
How is that possible, bro? Because the mastermind that we're in is ballers only. Like, you can't just get in there. You have to be invited, and then you have to stroke a big multiple tens of thousands of dollars check. And you're telling me you still have this imposter syndrome?
Yeah, absolutely. I always feel like there's something that's going to come up, and people are going to figure out that I don't know everything. You know, sometimes I'm going through this life going, shit, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just keep going. I'm learning stuff every day, and I don't have all the answers. So yeah, it was intimidating. It's just something new for me. But then I sat back and I did what I do in life and everything. And I just say, you know what, just go for it. Who cares? If you fall flat on your face, you do it and you'll learn and just keep moving.
What? I mean, seriously, Kyle, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? I meet new friends.
Yeah. I mean, you're protected on the other side of a computer screen. Like, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
Oh man. So let's talk about this journey. I mean, you've been all over the place, and you've really dialed in your real estate business. But how did you get into the real estate business? Because what I found is when I've had other DM guys, the feedback I get is like, oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. So let's start there with the real estate piece. How did you get started there? Was this something that you were just bred into real estate or what?
No. So I guess my story, I grew up in and I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia is where I live, right outside anyway. And I grew up kind of during that construction boom of the late 90s, early 2000s, and then through 2007. So my stepfather, he's a realtor. So I'd always kind of known about it as far as real estate. And he's been just on the sales side, just commissions and things like that, his own broker. So I had an understanding of how the process went and things sold. But during the summers on my breaks and things like that, I had a job working construction. So I started learning the construction aspect of it as well, home from summer and from college and things like that. So I kind of melded those two together. And that's how I kind of got into it. But it wasn't the journey I first started on. I wanted to be a strength conditioning coach. And then when I realized that waking up at 4 a.m. when I was at Memphis, I was at the University of Memphis working on my master's degree. And I was waking up at 4 a.m. to get up to be at the gym by 5 to get everything ready for the first workout at 6. When I was walking outside, it was probably 30 yards to the vehicle from the front door. And I would go outside and start sweating. I would literally leave the front door and start sweating by the time I get to the car. And I was like, what am I doing? And I was like, this is not the life that I want. And then I'd leave the gym that night at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I kept playing in my head. I was like, this isn't the life that I want. This isn't the life that I envision myself having and being able to create for myself. I want to have a family. I want to have free time. I want to have travel. I don't want to sit here and just be in the gym all the time. I was in great shape, I lifting all the time, but that's not the life that I wanted. So I left there, went to Boston, thought personal training would be better. Thought I'd have a little bit more free time. But then I just realized I was dealing with people who didn't really want to work out. And I was the cheerleader. And that's not really what I wanted to do either. I didn't want to pride people like, come on, wake up. We gotta work out. That just wasn't one of my things that I want to do. I've always been like a go-getter, get out of my way. I want to make things happen. And just doing that it didn't vibe with me. It wasn't sitting well. And so I came back to Charlottesville, and I got my real estate license. And again, I got my real estate license in 2009. So, we were selling a ton of houses in 2009. Yeah. I think I did like 7 sales.
Yeah.
I would see these houses and go, man, I could buy this, turn around, and I know what the things are worth. I know what it would sell for. And so I did that for like 6-7 months of just basically virtually in my head going, I would buy that at this number and it's going to take X amount to rehab. It would sell for whatever the number. And I would just do this and watch it go and happen. And I was like, man, I got this. And so then I just went full jump with both feet in, full-fledged, went out and bought a house to renovate and start. And I did all the work myself. I made like $3,000 on the thing. I didn't even pay myself. So it's actually like lost money on that one. I think that year, because I put so much time and energy into that one flip that I was doing, I had a couple other sales things. I made that whole year, I made $17,000.
Good grief, man.
Yeah. So it was nothing. Thank God my wife, she did.
she
was supporting my ass.
She carried you through there. Yeah. And then I find that common. And it's funny. I have a similar thing where I was in real estate. I was in that boom of 04, 05, 06, and things were going great. And then I lost my ass. And if it wasn't for my wife, I don't think I know I wouldn't have made it. I probably would have went back into construction. Do you think that knowledge, because you said that you had that construction knowledge, you did the work on that first house. Do you think that helped you or hindered you in any way in that first deal?
I mean, obviously, I think it did both, to be honest with you. I kind of already knew a little bit of the construction aspect of it, but just getting into it and then putting out a finished product for a client. That's where I think the biggest lesson was as far as the end product for myself, because I had never finished a project. For the summers that I worked, it was always kind of like framing and, I'd never actually finished a project. So that was, I think, the biggest learning curve. And then realizing that if I wanted to make any money, that probably wasn't the right way to go about it. So I think I learned both on that transaction. It was more of like a high paying job almost.
No, it wasn't. It was not high paying. Yeah, it was a crappy job with a crappy boss. The reason I ask you that is because before I got into real estate, I was an electrician. And so I had that worker mentality. And when I started flipping properties in the beginning, I would go find the deal. Then I would buy the deal and finance the deal. Then I would strap on my tools and go inside and work on the deal. And then when I was done with that, I would go out and market the deal and negotiate the deal and sell it. And I felt now, it's easy to see now that I should have just been like you, sitting in that office, that pretty office with the collared shirt instead of wearing the t-shirt and jeans and tool pouch,
Well, now it's the collared shirt. Back then, it was the Carhartts.
The Carhartts, yes, sir. Yeah, man. I feel like that blue collar mentality carried over and held me back. And it, like you said, wasn't a great paying job. So what lessons did you take into your second flip after that? Or how long did it take you to do the next one?
So during that process, I met an individual that we started working together. And that's where I really kind of honed in my marketing aspect and my skills there as far as finding more properties and then being able to wholesale. And I didn't do a flip per se of my own for a little bit. We just wholesaled. And then it was just around the construction aspect of it. Every now and again, me and my partner, I didn't personally do the flips. My partner would manage them. And so I learned a little bit through his stuff. And then to just, progressed and progressed and always trying to be around people that are better than me. So always trying to be like the dumbest guy in the room. That's what I strive to be. And I think I've reached it right now. And I always learn. And I always feel like there's guys that are just so much better than me, so far along at it. But it's don't compare. That's where I think that's where I get in trouble. I start comparing. And everybody's got their own journey.
Yeah. So did you take courses? Did you get mentors? Like, how did you learn about this wholesaling thing? Because that's an underground thing that real estate investors know about, but average civilians don't.
So what is that? What year was that? 9. So I brought my first flip in 11. So YouTube was starting to come up in 2011. There's starting to be people putting stuff out on YouTube and Google. And I jumped on, I found Sean Terry and during that process. So I found him and was able to I just listened to all of his podcasts and things that he put out. And really I would drive into my National Guard duties and stuff. That's all I would have. I wouldn't be listening to music. I just had my headphones in and just listening to strategy and mindset stuff on how to overcome that and or how to get better, how to improve. That's what I really started doing. And I guess that's how I learned how the wholesaling and everything, progressed, learning that.
How important is mindset? I hear you mentioning mindset. What kind of mindset did you come into the game with, and where are you today?
Well, I always felt like I could do it all, right? Oh, I can do anything I want. If I set my mind to it, I can do it. And I can. But the mindset that I needed to switch was that I don't have to do all the work. I need to position myself where I'm getting a lot of work done, but I'm not necessarily doing the work, if that makes sense. So that was the mindset.
How do you do that? How did you realize that? I mean, was it outside influences? Was that you burnt out, tired, and beat up? How did you realize that?
All of the above. Because on that first flip, I bought that first flip on April 6th of 2011. And why it's so ingrained in my head that I bought it on that day was that on April 7th at 3:45 in the morning, my wife wakes up and she goes, "We're having a baby today."
Oh.
And so that was kind of oh, we got to definitely make this happen. So I took the next couple days, off away from the flip. And then I'm like, man, I was constantly thinking about it. I was constantly in there because I was the one doing all the work. I was literally in the delivery room with my computer out, trying to figure stuff out. That's how I was. And I realized I wasn't there for her as much as I should have been. And I regret that aspect of it. But I learned from that and realized, you know what, Kyle, if you would have somebody in place, if you would have had a general contractor in place, if you would have budgeted for the contractor, you did all the numbers, but you didn't put any, you knew the construction aspect of as far as the materials and everything goes, but you didn't budget for anybody doing any of the work. I was going to do it. I would have been better off negotiating the deal. I would have learned that, you know what, it probably wasn't a freaking deal anyway. I was just so excited to have something in writing and exciting and a project to work on that I overpaid for the deal. And so all of those lessons, cumulative, was just you can't do this. Just like I was sitting in the gym at 6 a.m. and leaving at 6:30 going, I don't want my life to be this way. I don't want to live my life like this. And so I think that's just the main driver for me is just I don't want to keep doing this. I'll do it once, do it twice, maybe, depending on what it is. But I don't want my life to be like this. So I have to change. So how do I change? Who knows how to do this better? And that's eventually what made me the gentleman that runs the group that we're in, Mark, that led me to him. How do I change? How do I change? I'm always how do I get better? How do I get better? That's the reoccurring question that happens in my head. How do I get better? And then just keep going. So I think that answers the question.
Does that mean that you're never satisfied because you keep thinking, how do I get better?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? But then I had kids. So I have 2 boys, 8 and 5, and they've kind of taught me a little bit of being okay with different things. I'm always trying to be better, but I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I'm able to look back. I was sitting there looking at my son last night, and he's 8 years old. I'm like, shit, he's halfway to 16, and it just seems like yesterday we had him, and how much he's grown. I'm thankful for the times that we've had, and every time we're together, I try to make it a moment or try to have those times together so I don't miss that, I guess, and just be present. So I've learned how to do that too. When I'm there, be present. But then I heard somebody say it and I'm probably going to screw this up. Yeah, I'm going to screw it up, so I'm not even going to try.
Come on.
Be what does he say? Be I can't, I think it's Ed Milet. He says it. Something about being dissatisfied or I can't remember what exactly he says, but I'm not like disappointed or I'm not angry or I guess that's the wrong way to say it. But I'm happy for the moments before the learning experiences, but I'm always looking to get better. And I just think that's what it is for me. I'm happy for the experience. I learned, I enjoyed it. I was present, and then move on. And we got to get better. How do we get better though? And not be angry, not be upset with not being the best, because I was the best I was yesterday. Today, I'm going to be better than that day.
Yeah. I love that. That's something I write in my journal often. Be the best version of myself every single day. Whatever I'm comparing to, it's got to be, first of all, I'm comparing to me, and I'm comparing to me yesterday. And that's how I stay in that perpetual growth mode. So I know exactly what you're saying. So let's talk a little bit. Let's see which direction I want to go. There's two things that you mentioned there that I want to explore more. Let's first talk about finding the right people, because I haven't had him on the show yet, but we've talked about Mark Evans' DM quite a bit. How'd you find your way to him, and how'd you know he was the guy that you wanted to connect with?
You know what? I believe that the universe, whatever you put yourself, whatever you think, I believe the universe provides. So I don't know how I met up with Mark. I don't know. It was on social media, but I don't know how I crossed his path. I don't know how it happened, but I believe that the universe just provides for you. I think that life happens for you and not to you. So it must have been the thoughts that I was thinking. It must have been all of that cumulative of what I wanted in life. And then somehow Mark showed up. So that I can't explain it. I don't know. I didn't go searching for him. He just was there. And then, so I just started following him and listened to him, and I connected with what he was saying, talked to a couple guys that had attended some of his events and knew him, and then just reached out and just said, hey, let's connect.
How do you stroke that big check? Most people would consider it a big check. Like, was that scary or what? Have you done other masterminds?
Yeah, I've been involved with other masterminds, but nothing to his extent. If you look at it like this, if you buy $5,000 houses and they're only worth 15, you can only make so much. But if you buy $300,000 houses and the ceiling's much higher, you can make a lot more. And so I feel like it's an investment for me. It's like, okay, it's scary. It's like, okay, here we go. I'm writing those numbers out. It's a little scary. And especially the first time. So I've re-upped for the second time. So that's another, chunk in there. And it is, but the value and just the mindset that he created, I just want to be around more positive, powerful influencers of my mind. That's that. And I think that's what I try to do. I don't know how to explain it, or it is scary, but I try to invest in myself, because that's one of the things I think is the best investment is myself. I mean, I've literally laid in bed going, all right, if I lost everything, if they took everything away from me right now, if it was all gone, drop me in some other country or whatever, maybe not some other country, but somewhere in the United States that I don't know a single soul, could I do it? And I think the answer is yes, because
why? I
know what to do. I've had the experience. I've learned the process. I've learned everything that needs to go and involved with that. So it's not anything crazy. I know one mindset. I know I can do it. I have that belief that I can do it. And so there's no other thoughts, really. There's no question. Just put me in there and let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I went to college. I didn't know a single soul. Just put me in there. Let's go. I'll figure it out.
I love it, man. I love it. Respect for that. Oh, guess what? Time is up for this week. I know you were just getting into that, and I don't blame you, because it was just getting good. But we're trying to keep these episodes under a half hour, so we split it up into two. We'll be back next week with part 2 of this interview. Make sure you tune in then. And if you love what you're hearing, why not share this episode with someone who will also love it? Thank you. Daddy's out.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.